It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we got 3 beers from Aldi which I've recently picked up. They're quite new. They've been out two weeks maximum, I think. One is a stout. Let's just get them straight out, shall we? Let's just talk straight about them. They're £1.29 a can. We have a marshmallow flavoured stout in a 440ml can at 4.5% ABV. We've had a beer from Toast Brewing Company. It's called Another Round, 3.4% ABV session IPA, 440ml can. At £1.29, I think. It's the going rate these days for craft beer. They're between £1.29 and £1.49. This is the Hop Foundry. This is their Misfits Wonky fruit beer at 4.5% ABV. So it's part of their Hop Foundry range of beers. Of course, we go into every single beer review as impartial as we can. But what I found from previous Hop Foundry beers is that they've generally not been very good. And I can't help but think that these are not going to be great either. A wonky fruit beer, a Toast Brewing 3.4% ABV beer, and a marshmallow stout. I might be proven completely wrong here. So let's get pouring, let's get them out into a glass, see what we get. Let's start with Another Round as the lowest of the ABVs. These beers, Toast Brewing Company, they were very recently in Waitrose, so they know how to brew a good beer. They were all kind of yellow labelled as of September, October 2024, and then the next thing you know, there's Toast beers in Aldi, so perhaps Toast Brewing Company and Aldi made the decision to collaborate and brew beers together. Maybe because there's more of a footfall, maybe there's more people going in Aldi than there would be going into Waitrose, so it just worked for the two companies. Beer in the glass, we got a 1 finger white head, good levels of carbonation, straw coloured beer. Light straw coloured, toasty looking beer. One thing I will talk about quickly is they Toast use a lot of recycled bread that's not being used. So sustainably brewed with surplus Aldi Tiger bread. Oh, that's not a bad thing. As long as it tastes good. Next beer is the Misfits Wonky fruit beer, 4.5% ABV. It's funny, isn't it? Because amazingly, the last beers I reviewed from Aldi were the Oktoberfest beers, and I was super excited by them. These beers, it's funny how you feel, isn't it? How you can feel. It's all coming from the same supermarket. I'm super excited for the Aldi Oktoberfest beers. I'm not really excited at all by this. I really aren't. To be honest with you, it feels a little bit like a chore. So, beer in the glass, the head has dissipated very quickly. You can see that the carbonation's not really that there in the glass, but the head fizzed away quite quickly. It looks like a glass of blackcurrant fruit juice. Quite clear to look at. Now it's time for the marshmallow flavoured stout. The other thing I'd like to mention though is I just literally last weekend, so that would have been something like the 21st, I think it was 22nd, Friday the 22nd of November. I picked up a load of the Benedicta beers from the Oktoberfest. I picked them all up reduced. And this is the problem, I suppose. They were £2.50 a bottle originally in Oktoberfest, then they went down to £2. I picked up 8 bottles for £1.49 a bottle. There's still this lack of understanding when it comes to really good quality German beer, and people won't buy what they won't understand. But they'll go and buy a Hop Foundry Marshmallow Stout because it looks a bit trendy on the can. Jet black beer in a glass, one finger, very small, one finger white head, little bit of carbonation. So let's get into them. I'm sure the people at Toast Brewing Company, they must be thinking the same as me. They're brewers, they know what they're doing. They must be thinking, oh, you know, like, this is so uninspiring for them. Can you imagine being the brewer of Toast Brewing Company and asking him how inspired he is by brewing a 3.4% ABV session IPA for Aldi? It must be like a visit to the dentist. Aroma. A little bit citrusy. A little bit of sweet malt. A little bit of pineapple. Pineapple and mango. My favourite. Let's get in. Cheers, everybody. It's actually not too bad. It's actually not too bad. It's nicely carbonated. It's refreshing and drinkable. It kind of reminds me of that Waitrose Pale Ale I reviewed in the green can just the other week, but lower in the ABV, 3.4% ABV. It's not overpowering with the pineapple. It's not overpowering with the mango. You definitely get some of that kind of malt in there, that surplus tiger bread. You're not going to taste the tiger bread. It's been boiled, you know, you're not going to get that far, but you definitely get some malt. The bread has not been boiled, if you're thinking that. The beer gets boiled. Get rid of all the nasties. That's when you're going to lose all the flavour of that tiger bread. I take it back on this one. I take it back. That's not too bad. Yes, it's always going to be a little bit weak and watery at 3.4% ABV. There's no getting away from that. But it's got a whacking bitterness on it. It's got a whacking great bitterness on the back end, which I quite like in beer. I prefer bitterness to these soft New England IPAs. I prefer a West Coast IPA. This is more of a kind of a West Coast punchy IPA at 3.4% ABV, albeit session like. That's not bad at all. I'm just going to get straight in and rate it. This one has surprised me. I still think it's going to be a hard sell. I still think people are going to pick this up. They're going to have the same reaction as me. 3.4% ABV. I think there's going to be a lot of people just putting that back on the shelf. Unless, of course, people are still loving this low ABV beer, which I'll never understand anyway. I like this enough to give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for the Toast Brewing Surplus Tiger Bread Aldi Session IPA, called Another Round. Let's do the fruit beer. It was talk that Carlsberg Marston's used to brew this beer for Aldi. I don't know if it's the case with this beer. This is a wonky fruit beer. You know, you buy the wonky carrots and the wonky potatoes. Yeah, this is wonky fruit. Wow. No, 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 no. It smells like cordial. It smells like blackcurrant cordial. Oh. Oh, wow. Look at it. Come on, look at it. Beer, not a chance. Not a chance. There's a little bit of grain in there. Oh, that's terrible. Terrible. Beer brewed with fruit and fruit puree, there we go. Sweet forest fruits with a sour touch from cherries. Sessionable, light, easy drinking. Now, it's like cordial for me. 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 for that one. Very poor, very, very poor. Which leads me to the marshmallow flavoured stout, 4.5% ABV. It's my weekend off after this. It's my weekend off reviewing beer after this, and I chose to do these beers so I can have the weekend to myself and relax and not have to think about these Aldi beers. Toasted coconut, Bovril gravy, chocolate, sweetness with a toastiness in there. I've had worse. I've had worse. I've definitely had worse. Bit too thin for a stout. Let's get the bad bits out the way. Bit too thin for a stout. Bit overly hissy and fizzy. Bit overly carbonated. But then you get to the flavours and you get a little lick of chocolate and you get a little lick of toasty. I like the toastiness of this beer. It's like toasted marshmallow, toasted coconuts. It's a bit roasty. It's trying to be a stout. They put stout on the can and it's probably... The thing is, if this is brewed by a regional brewer in the UK, that's one thing a regional brewer in the UK knows what to do. You go to any regional brewer, you have a stout from Badger, you have a stout from Marston's, you have a stout from Brains, or if you have a stout from Shepherd Neame, Black Sheep, Theakston's. If it's one thing they know how to do properly, it's a stout. So if this has come from a regional brewery, it's thin. It's thin and fizzy. That's what they need to get right. But the other flavours, I was dreading this one, to be honest with you. I was thinking, oh no, like this is going to be horrible and sweet and like a vocation beer. But it's not. It's not overly sweet. It's got more characteristics of the stout than it does the marshmallow, which really interests me, which really gets me to go, yeah, that's okay. I'll be drinking that, I will. I'm going to rate it. I'm going to give that a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. I mean, I went into this thing, I went into this whole thing, I'll be honest with you, with such negativity. I was like, oh man, like I was picking them up, putting them in my trolley, like already thinking of the chore of doing this review. But in all honesty, the toast beer was okay, the stout beer was okay, the Hop Foundry Misfits was terrible. Yeah, thanks for watching. I think I surprised myself more than anything else in this review. I liked 2 out of the 3 beers. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom, cheers.